So we'll
All
go
right.
ahead and we'll just get started. So at any point, if anyone has any questions or if there's anything that stands out while we're presenting, please don't be shy. Please jump right in and we can open up a dialogue midway through or at any other point during the presentation so that we can address what's on the hearts and minds of everyone. And without further ado, hello everyone and welcome to our workshop, The Balancing Act. This presentation from the Be Engaged Workshop Series is brought to you by Success Services within the Office of Student Financial Aid. We're excited to talk with you today as we continue our series of virtual webinars.
We'll start today by introducing our Student Success Services within the Office of Student Financial Aid. Our Success Services offer a range of resources, including one-to-one success coaching and basic needs support, both of which work to provide essential support to students. Additionally, we have our workshop series, which you're here with us today for, which covers a diverse set of topics designed to enhance your individual success. And finally, we have our mentorship piece, which has launched. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out via our email there on the slide to get more information.
Our space is located at East Campus Mall, but for now, we're also available virtually. The basic needs coordinators and success coaches are available to meet with you through video, chat, or over the phone. Visit our website located in the bottom of this screen to set up a meeting with us today. Additionally, the success team is hosting a Microsoft Teams channel that we're working on that we can make available to students to just have another space to converse and to figure out what's going on with everyone and get a better sense as to what are the challenges that they're facing through virtual learning or elsewhere. And to introduce ourselves, I'm Jordan Salas and I'm a second-year PhD student.
And I'm Lucy Wren and I'm a first-year master's student. The role of the Student Success Coach is designed to help you identify a pathway to success across different areas, optimize opportunities, and enhance your Wisconsin experience.
And before I go on to the next slide, I want to quickly answer this question. Sarah, clicking on the link to the teams. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem, Sarah. We can put that that link in the chat soon.
Okay, so back to our workshop, The Balancing Act. The purpose of this presentation is to help support your well-being and explore how you can improve the balance between school, work, and personal commitments in your life. We'll spend this time discussing how you can leverage skills in planning, prioritization, and expectation setting to find the balance that works best for you.
This meme says it all. As college students, we're often pulled in so many different directions, and which one you should prioritize often depends on who you talk to. The three big buckets you see pictured are social, personal, life, good grades or school, and enough sleep, which refers to overall health. So let's kick off our webinar today by reflecting on where each of us is right now. We're sending a poll right now. Vote for which two corners of this triangle you most often pick.
And I think there is a limitation with Blackboard polling. I think you might only be able to choose one, unfortunately. All right, so it looks like school by far and away is taking the lead here. That's no surprise. While we're in the middle of a semester here, that can definitely take precedent. We're gonna stop the poll and keep going. Balance is really tough to achieve, especially in school when there's always something homework-wise you could be working ahead on. Balance is even more difficult as we think about all the changes this semester has brought. Classes going mostly virtual, asynchronous versus synchronous class, additional virtual platforms to navigate that may take more time than you originally planned for. How you hang out with your friends or whether you have a job may also look different than in previous months or semesters. We're going to dive deep today on specific strategies we hope will help you find more balance. before we get started, there's a few ground rules for this concept. First, setting realistic expectations is really important in finding balance. And Sarah, I see your question about where the recording will be available. It'll be on our financial aid website with the rest of our recorded workshops. I'm sure, Casey, if you could send a link to that, that would be very helpful. So a couple of ground rules. First, setting realistic expectations is really important in finding balance. I'm sure we can all think of extreme diets and cleanses that we've seen, tempted by, or maybe even tried. Yet there's a reason that extreme diets have gone out of style. The changes are often too drastic to be sustainable, and many people experience fallout after the diet erase any of those changes. Planning is similar. You can certainly say that you're going to wake up early, exercise every single day, finish the semester's readings in one weekend, and be an active part of several teams and other extracurriculars. But these are incredibly lofty goals and will be really, really tough to meet, especially if you're not used to waking up early, exercising, and so on and so forth. What's worse is setting impossible goals and then not meeting them can actually be very demotivating and detrimental to your mental health. Setting realistic expectations and being honest with yourself about how you use your time is going to create a far more sustainable day-to-day schedule, and meeting realistic goals will help build positive momentum. Another ground rule to finding balance is to be firm in your commitments. Very often, you're the only person who knows everything that's on your plate. We can't expect others to keep track of everything we have going on. You also know your own strengths and weaknesses best. Therefore, you know best what is possible for you in any given moment. Use this information to stand up for yourself and keep your own schedule on track. Of course, if you have the time and ability to provide extra help, absolutely jump in if you'd like. But if you're already having a crazy week with homework and other things, don't be afraid to say no to work going above and beyond what you've signed up for. Saying yes, even when you know you don't have the time, will only create more stress and might even cause resentment on your end when you're having to put off homework to complete a different task. Lastly, remember that you're human. You will make mistakes. Things will fall through the cracks. Not every assignment you turn in is going to be perfect, and that's all okay. Don't expect that you'll all be experts who have perfect work-life balance by the end of this presentation and for the rest of your lives. The goal of this workshop is to give you the tools to start figuring out what works best for you as you balance all the aspects of your life. This is tough work, and it's important to acknowledge that you're human and you're learning. Now that we've laid these ground rules, let's talk about specific strategies you can use to help you find more balance right away.
In trying to balance, it's important to also understand time. Time for you may have also taken on new meanings in the past few months. While you may have previously had set times to be in a classroom, be a student organization meeting, or show up to an exam, it's really different now. If you have any asynchronous classes, planning your time to complete this coursework has gotten even harder. Experts agree that the single most effective thing that you can do to gain more balance in your life is explicitly plan your time. Even if you're not a planner or not a visual learner, sketching out at least 1 week of your typical schedule can help you better understand which days are busy and which have open blocks of time you could leverage. As we're talking, you might find it helpful to grab a piece of scratch paper, open a calendar app, or take out your planner if you have one and begin writing in some of the things that we're talking about. If you prefer a digital calendar, one option is the calendar function on your UW Outlook account. If you're using a piece of scratch paper, write the hours of the day from when you wake up to when you go to bed, down the left-hand side as your rows, and on the days of the week across the top as your columns. You could also use Excel or Google Sheets in a similar way. Whatever you decide to do, this is where and how you'll be planning your time. The first thing you're going to write in is classes and work. These are typically a set, immovable time and require your attendance, which is why we're giving them first dibs of your time. If there are any other things that you're aware of that fit into this set, immovable and required category, and that are recurring, such as weekly therapy sessions, these should also go in your calendar now. If you're using a paper schedule and you have class from 1 to 3 p.m. on Tuesdays, for instance, draw a square around that time, almost like what you would see on a calendar app, likely blocking off that time. Finally, add in things with set times that are not required, such as webinar you're hoping to attend or meetings for a student organization that you're a part of. We still need to add in a few more plans, as well as to-dos such as homework, but let's quickly pause here to talk about personal time. Every article you can find on balancing school, work, and life will include personal time of some sort as the single most important thing you should prioritize to create more balance, and we agree. Your overall well being should be the most important priority. Besides, burnout will be far worse for your productivity in the long run than taking regular time for yourself. Vacation is a tough concept in school when there's always more work to be done, like schoolwork. But already on your schedule, you might be seeing where you have more time open. See if you can find less busy weekends to clear a day and take time for yourself to read for pleasure, binge a show you've been wanting to watch, or maybe even take a long nap. Also, on real vacations, especially those between ends of term when you truly have no schoolwork due, be sure to actively take a break. It can be tempting to pick up a few shifts at your old high school job or pack the time with commitments with friends and family, but make sure you leave at least a little time just for yourself. Giving your brain and body this time to unwind and heal from the craziness of the semester will be rejuvenating, ensuring that you'll be ready to be productive once school starts back up.
Of course, clearing whole hours or even a day of time can be really challenging, so building self-care into your daily or weekly routine is another great way to ensure that you get the personal time you need to take care of yourself. Exercise is probably the most popular self-care strategy in this vein. Commit to working out for half an hour every day or several times a week. You can even layer on the self-care by listening to an audiobook, a podcast you enjoy, or your favorite music while working out. If you don't have half an hour in one block, there are tons of 5 to 15-minute workout videos on YouTube. Maybe you could squeeze one or two of those in throughout the day. While you can find videos for any type of workout style that you like, high intensity interval training or HIIT workouts might be most useful for these short bursts. There are lots of HIIT workouts available that don't require any equipment. Recwell is also offering free virtual group fitness classes right now. Follow the link on the slide to check out the types of classes and the times that they're being offered. Experts suggest not exercising close to bed as it can make falling asleep more difficult. So if you're putting exercise in your schedule, try to find a time earlier in the day. Other ideas for fitting in self-care during the day could include using a mindfulness app such as Calm or Headspace to do a 1 to 10-minute meditation, or using a blank notebook to journal. If you don't have enough time to write a long journal entry every day, you could try writing one line a day, or one thing that you were grateful for that day, or even just list 2 or 3 songs that were maybe stuck in your head or that describe your day. You could also check out UHS's group therapy options, which typically meet for about an hour once a week. Follow the link to check out what's being offered this semester, and be sure to scroll all the way down to see the wide variety of offerings, including creative arts-based therapy and therapy through tabletop role-playing games. Another way lots of people experience self-care in college is by catching up with family and friends from home. This might be FaceTiming with your siblings or watching the newest season of Great British Bake Off at the same time as some long-distance friends while you're all on Discord together. Perhaps you run with your best friend who's attending a different college by having them on the phone while you're working out. Try to be creative in coming up with ways and times to connect with those important people in your life. Lastly, give yourself time for at least 7 hours of restful sleep. This is among the most important ways you can build self-care into your week. Give yourself 2 bedtimes, one for when you'd like to be a spy and one for when you'd like to start winding down. Unless you're planning to use it to meditate, Calm and Headspace both have libraries of meditations meant to be sleep aids. Put any technology up about half an hour before you hope to be asleep. Use this time to read for pleasure, shower, drink a warm mug of decaffeinated tea, journal, or maybe even do a face mask instead. Similarly, coming up with a morning routine, such as working out, showering, or making a cup of coffee, can be useful in helping to give your body signals for when to go to sleep and when to wake up. The better you are at keeping those sleep times consistent and sticking to those routines, the easier it will be for your body to stick to them. Whatever you choose to do, remember that new routines take about 3 weeks to become habits, so be sure to give yourself time to settle into anything new you try. Oh, sorry, Jordan.
It's okay. So, no matter how you decide to fit in self care, the reason we're bringing it up now is because it's important to visually schedule this self care into your day. Putting workout for 30 minutes onto your to do list is a start, but scheduling the exact time you'll work out makes the goal even more specific, which ups the chances you'll actually complete this task. Scheduling a 5-minute meditation might feel silly, but again, right now, we're just trying to see exactly when you'll be spending your time. So at the very least, make a note of where in your day you'd like to complete these self-care tasks for bed and morning routine or any other self-care routine, rather than have to write out the whole routine on every day in your schedule. Write down everything the routine entails on a different piece of paper, and then simply write in morning routine each day, so you protect that time as being busy. As for scheduling in time with family and friends, of course, there will always be times when your family calls out of the blue. But the more you can be proactive about scheduling time to connect, the less likely those random calls will happen, and the less bad you'll feel about letting them go to voicemail if they don't call while you're trying to work. Along with the examples on this previous slide, you might call your family every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Or maybe Tuesdays become the night that you hop on Animal Crossing with your friends from back home. Whatever you choose to do, be sure to write it down in your schedule so that we don't mistake those as times as free, for instance, to study. This helps us get the clearest possible picture of our time so that we can be as realistic as possible about our schedule.
Next, we're going to add in quote unquote irregular events. Now, holidays and doctor's appointments may be somewhat regular. They happen at the same time every year or at similar times. But what we mean by this are things that you don't usually have on your schedule during a normal week. You might not even know when some of these things are yet, but if you do have dates and times for, say, your next dentist appointment or that family gathering that you never miss that's on the same day every year, go ahead and block those in so that, again, we don't mistake those as times that you're free. With this added, you should have a pretty solid idea of your regular schedule of set events. Now we're moving on to adding in soft plans or your to-dos on a given day. These are things that don't have specific set times and they don't have the same accountability as, say, attending class where attendance is taken. As a college student, studying is the most notorious thing you'll encounter in this category, so we're going to focus on that. When thinking about how to plan for studying, first assess your energy. Are you generally more awake, focused, and motivated in the mornings or at night? Think through the rest of the day. When do you tend to get work done? Lots of people normally experience an energy slump around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Is that true for you? You may want to quickly jot down where these peaks and troughs are of energy in your schedule, or even just on a sticky note at the moment, so that you can see this information as we plan. The last thing we want to do is say that you're going to be writing an important term paper at 3 p.m. when you normally have a really hard time focusing. Next, be honest about your habits. Don't say that you're going to be up doing work at 11 p.m. if staying up past 10 is next to impossible for you. Also, think about habits that you have throughout the day. Do you always caught up finishing notes, sending emails, and posting to discussion boards after class? Or when things are in person, how long does it take you to walk to and from your classes? Do you get out of class and just need 30 minutes to not look at a screen? Let's be sure to plan for those habits too. As another example, did you schedule an exercise? If you did, remember that you'll need time on either side to, at the very least, get into and out of your workout gear, if not travel to a gym or take a shower afterwards. It can be tough to be honest with yourself about your habits and tempting to say that you're going to drastically change them to make your schedule work better. However, being honest creates a schedule that you're more likely to keep up with, which will build positive momentum, making you feel productive and ensuring a higher chance that you'll stick with it. Personal or household to-dos are another part of this category. Whether finding time to call your family, organizing your to-do list, or doing dishes or laundry, we'll need to be sure to plan in some time for these tasks as well. Lastly, for other types of soft plans, things that you think might happen, but the plans aren't for sure yet, or even for spontaneous activities, think back through what your friends and you normally like to do and see if you can make some educated guesses. For instance, During normal times, if you usually go to home football games, do your best to plan around that so that you don't wake up thinking you're going to get tons of work done on Saturdays. Or if you know that your friends from home are always asking you to hop on to a game online around 10 p.m. every night, let's see if we can't try to plan around that a couple nights a week so that you can make that happen. As we're thinking about how these to-dos fit into our schedule, keep personal time in mind. If you notice that there's some weeks that are less busy with schoolwork, see if you can't intentionally plan to finish the work you do have and give yourself a day or an afternoon off for that personal time. We're going to do our best today to create a schedule that gives you space to jump in on spur-of-the-moment adventures with your friends without guilt about all the impending work you have to do. Before we add these plans into our schedule, though, let's talk a little bit about how to prioritize them.
All right, we've covered quite a bit so far. We've talked about how schedules set plans, how to fit in personal time, and how to add plans that aren't firmed up yet. Next, we'll be talking about how to prioritize your time and activities. But before we move on, do you have any questions so far? Anything that we mentioned that's sort of burning a hole in your mind that you want to discuss? Okay. If anything changes, feel free to unmute yourself, hop in the conversation, or you can always add a message to the chat board. Okay, we're going to leave our schedule drafts for a minute here and think about what's most important to us. This will help inform how we prioritize our time. Think about the big categories: school, work, family, friends, personal well-being, and other big categories you might have, like finances. How would you prioritize these? Which is most important to you? Write these categories on a piece of paper in your notes and see if you can rank them. Further down on that piece of paper or on your phone, make a quick list of your goals. This doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be everything, and it's not set in stone. But when I ask, what are your goals? What are the first things that pop into your head? Try to be specific as possible. So instead of get my dream job, write down get a job as an investigative reporter. The more you can add to these, details, the better the list will be able to serve you. How do your goals fit into your priorities? What is your number one goal right now? You can share this with us by unmuting or putting it in the chat. Anyone want to share what their goals are, short term or long term? Has anyone been lucky enough to accomplish any of their goals recently?
I know my short-term goal right now is a paper that I have due for class. So very, very short-term, just trying to get that paper finished.
Same, you and me both. I've got about 2 papers like that, so I understand. Okay.
Anyone else have any goals?
Well, if you think of any, feel free to unmute or you can share them in the chat anytime.
So first, think broadly about what's most important to you. We're going to be talking about how to, Casey says, trying to finish up a presentation for early November, yes. Okay, we're going to think broadly about how to prioritize our to-do list in the next couple of slides. If you already have a list that you keep somewhere, go ahead and get that out. If not, take a moment or two to write down everything you need to do. Importantly, we're only focusing here on our personal to-do list. So leave out tasks that you need to accomplish, for instance, your job while you're at work. For example, write things like doing dishes or doing the readings for class, but leave out work tasks like the files you need to organize for your boss. Those tasks you'll complete during your work time, which we've already blocked off in our schedule. One other concern while you're writing your list is break large tasks or projects into more specific to-dos. The idea here is that when you look at your to-do list, you know exactly what each task is asking you to do. For instance, if you put down write term paper, that is so broad and ambiguous that not only is it potentially intimidating to sit down to that task, but you'll spend the first couple of minutes just working out where to even start with that. Instead, make this several tasks, such as find sources for term paper, make citations, put bibliography together, write outline, and so on and so forth. Again, the more specific your tasks, the better you'll be able to tackle them. We'll give you a few minutes for people to write their lists, and if you have any questions so far, now's a great time to ask. You can either type in the chat or unmute yourself to ask away. We'll give about 1 more minute just for you to get a couple of things written on a to-do list. Even if it's not everything you have going on at the moment, it ought to have at least a few things on your to-do list for the next couple of slides. All right, we're gonna get started. If you're not quite done with your to-do list yet, that's okay. Like I said, we just need at least a few things so that you get the idea of some of these prioritization strategies. So everyone should have their to-do list, at least a couple of tasks written down. The first question you should ask yourself when looking at your to-do list is, what is important? Use a different color or a symbol to mark these tasks on your to-do list, perhaps a star or highlighting them. Next, ask yourself, what is urgent? Again, use a symbol or different color to mark the urgent tasks on your list. You might even write the due dates of these tasks so you can more easily see which ones are most urgent. I'll give about 30 seconds for you to go through your list and answer those two questions. What is important and what is urgent? Okay, at this point, tasks on your to-do list should take priority. But if you're anything like I am, you've marked basically everything as either urgent or important or both. So here are a few other considerations that can help differentiate and prioritize your tasks. Look at your list and ask, what is the cost for each task? What we mean by cost is how much time will the task take you? Since as we schedule, we're really just budgeting our time. Perhaps use an up arrow for high cost and a down arrow for low cost items. And cost is really going to come down to, or defining what's high cost and low cost is really going to come down to your personal schedule. A half hour to me, anything less than that is pretty low cost. I have a lot of half hour times throughout my day. Anything longer than an hour is probably going to be high cost. I don't have as many hour or hour plus blocks throughout my day. Then ask, what is the benefit for each task? The benefit of each thing on your to-do list is going to be based on the goals that we just thought about. For instance, doing your laundry may be beneficial in that you'll have clean clothes to wear, but if your goal is to graduate on time with honors, doing your laundry is not very beneficial to helping meet that goal. Meanwhile, completing an assignment for class is highly beneficial to your grades and therefore your goal. This would be a high benefit task. Again, you can use different colors or mark high benefit and low benefit items on your list. I'll give just 30 more seconds for you to finish this up. Okay, we're going to keep going. So now we should be able to look at this list and prioritize our tasks. Anything marked important, urgent, and highly beneficial should be top priority, especially if it's low cost. Within this category, use deadlines from when you looked at urgency to help put these tasks in order. Next on your list should be important tasks that aren't urgent. While it's likely that your important tasks are also those that are highly beneficial, any tasks that are highly beneficial but not important or urgent should also be in this area of your to-do list. You'll be left with tasks that are low urgency, low importance, and low benefit. There's a couple ways that you can tackle these. You can carve out a large block of time each week to knock these out in one go, or you can plan to scatter these tasks throughout your week. It might help to give you a productive boost to complete one or two of these low cost, in other words, quick, tasks each day. Or it might feel better to you to just get all of them out of the way each week all together at once. What we just did is a pretty informal prioritization of our tasks, or our to-do lists. Do you have any questions? All right, so next we'll talk through a few more formalized prioritization techniques that you use going forward from here. Oh.
The Eisenhower Matrix focuses on what is urgent and what is important. Now, this is really meant for folks in full-time jobs, so the delegate box might not make as much sense in the context of college students. But if you're really crazy busy, think creatively about your places, and you can delegate. Are you part of a group project? Would your group mates be understanding if they helped you pick up some slack this week? Just be sure to commit more fully to this as soon as your schedule is less busy or prepared to repay the favor later on. Or are you part of a student organization for which your task can be completed by someone else or at a different time? Also, while it might not always be possible to delegate non-urgent and non-important tasks, laundry has to get done at some point. If your week is super busy, just get rid of those and plan to get them next week. The Abcde method is similar, looking for those high, middle, and low priority tasks, then also having a delegate and eliminate portion. The second graphic shows us how to use the ABCDE, sort of how we are just prioritize our to-do list, starting with an unsorted list, identifying the highest, middle, and lowest priority tasks, and then within those categories, sorting the tasks in each group in order in which you'll tackle them. This method is over 100 years old and valuable to take a look at in our age of technology that can be so distracting. Have you ever sat down to work, seen your long to-do list, not knowing what to tackle first, gotten overwhelmed, and ended up trying to multitask, which led to a lot of things being halfway done, but nothing really getting finished? Or maybe you got overwhelmed and started scrolling Instagram instead. Well, we're hoping to help you tackle this by explicitly scheduling all of your tasks so you don't need to do this through work and through work in the moment. This method is intended to reduce the decision fatigue in a different way. In this method, You are forced to pick only the 6 important things, and you may not move on to task 2 until task 1 is complete. All of that decision making happens at the end of every workday when your work is fresh in your mind. The essence of this method is that you commit fully to these 6 tasks and tackle each one at a time until they're all done. Remember, if you commit to nothing, you'll get distracted by everything, which is probably the most important advice I've had all week. That was a lot of information. So far, we've talked about how to schedule all types of plans, including personal time, how to prioritize your time, and different methods for doing so. There's a poll coming in your chat right now. Which prioritization method spoke to you most? The Matrix, the Abcde Method, or the list of 6? Go ahead and vote now. Looks like the list of 6 is dominating.
Yeah, very interesting to see how a method that's over 100 years old, that's all based on no distractions, speaks to us so much right now with all the distractions we have in our world.
Yeah, and that's probably why it's lasted over 100 years, because everybody within the past 100 years has been faced full of distractions.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, now we have our prioritized to-do lists in hand. Let's turn back to our schedules. Look at those urgent, important, high-benefit tasks first. A recommendation is to get the biggest, heaviest thought work type task off your plate first. But if you're someone who does better once you've built some positive momentum, that's where you can pick one of these low-cost, high-urgency, high-importance, or high-benefit tasks to tackle first. Look at those big blocks of free time and put those high-cost tasks in those spots. Sprinkle low-cost tasks, or tasks that won't take you much time, in whenever you have a couple of minutes. But remember to be honest about how long those tasks will take. Don't try squeezing posting on your class discussion board into a 10-minute break between classes if you know it always takes you longer than 20 minutes to craft your response and post it. Remember, way at the beginning when we asked you to write down times when your energy is good and when your energy is low, if you have a block of free time at 3 in the afternoon, but you know you're really low energy at that time, maybe that's when you do some household chores that have you up and moving, or you go to work out at that point to get your energy back up. Try to make it so that you have bigger blocks of time during parts of the day when you're feeling more awake and ready to tackle those big, important tasks. This is also where you need to be honest about your habits. Don't look at time right after class as free time to get your tasks if you know that you always get caught up finishing notes and sending emails. Block in how long it takes you to travel to and from class so that it doesn't appear to be free time. Leave lunch open if you know that you always get scrolling your phone or talking to your friends. Again, as we mentioned previously, for things like cooking or other household chores, or for all of your class readings, you can choose whether you want to spread those out throughout the week, or if you'd prefer to get those tasks done in bulk once a week. Perhaps Sundays become your reading day, or Wednesday nights become your household chores night. Now is also the time to schedule in that personal and social time that we've been talking about. If you do one chore every weekday or all your readings on Sundays, does that free up Saturdays? Or maybe not every week, but sometimes for personal time? Or can you commit to writing in an hour-long FaceTime with your family once a week? Or are there nights, now that we have all your tasks written in, where you could be done early and hop into that online game with your friends? The more proactive you can be here, the better you can guess at these spontaneous plans. And the more accurate your schedule is going to be, and the easier it will be to stick to it. Maybe you're wondering at this point how to fit all these things in. Where you can, try overlapping tasks. For instance, call your family while you're doing household chores, or doing easy administrative tasks like cleaning out your email inbox. Or maybe you can listen to a pre-recorded class lecture or podcast that you have for homework while you're working out. Or you could do mindfulness while you're walking to class, call a friend while you're running, or do some reading while you're eating lunch. Or even start a study group with long distance or on-campus friends so that you have the chance to talk and hang out, but the main focus is that schoolwork. Lastly, any time you have to give is worth it. Even if it feels silly to call your family when you know you only have 5 minutes, that 5-minute phone call will mean way more to them than not calling at all. If you only have 10 minutes between classes, could you clean out your inbox and respond to any emails that ask for a reply in that time? Or maybe you can get 5 pages of reading done. Hey, that's 5 less pages that you have to read later. Being intentional about how you use every part of your day could lead to these larger blocks of free time down the line. We'll give you a minute or two here to finish plugging everything in. And if you have any questions, now's a great time to ask. Just use the chat or unmute yourself.
Does anyone find it easier to connect with friends, especially friends and family who are, outside of Madison? Has anyone found it easier at least? Well, if so, or if not, let us know or put it in the chat. So while we don't think necessarily as technology is always helpful to our productivity, here are some ways that can actually help. Your phone has a do not disturb function. This will block you from receiving any incoming notifications, though you will be able to see those when you turn your phone back on. You can even set this function up so that calls or texts from specific people do not come through. There's a similar function under clock on iPhones called Bedtime. You can set bedtimes, set a reminder however far out from your bedtime to notify you to start winding down. It'll turn on do not disturb for the whole bedtime. And my personal favorite, it has alarms that fade in rather than shocking you awake. Also, under screen time, there's an app limits function on iPhones where you can set the max time you'd like to spend on each app every day. Now, all you have to do to get past this is enter your passcode. So this doesn't take this does take some self-control, but the reminder that you've reached your limit might be enough to get you to put the phone down. For these first couple of weeks, you may struggle with knowing how long each task takes. There are apps you can download that will help you clock your time for each task. After a week or two, this information will help you optimize your planning.
Now that we've spent time talking about positive steps you can take to create balance in your life, let's just do a quick warning about two pitfalls many people struggle with. First is perfectionism. As I'm sure you've discovered by now, college work is on another level. It can be really hard to complete everything in time, and even worse, professors certainly don't know what other classes you're taking and how professors in those classes have spread their assignments out. You might end up with a week or two where it feels like everything for every class is due. Again, this goes back to what's most costly and most beneficial. Might you get docked a few points if you aren't able to complete a discussion post for that week? Yeah, but taking a hit on those couple of points is probably worth it if you can spend more time perfecting that assignment, 30% of your grade in another class. Letting go of perfectionism and being okay with the fact that you're human is a huge part of finding balance in your life. Second is an idea called the sunken cost fallacy. This is where you feel obligated to see something through because you've already put so much time into it. Guess what? No one is holding you to that. If you put a few hours in and something's just not working, it's better to backtrack and find a more productive route than to continue to struggle your way through the option you figured out hours ago wasn't working.
Sorry, I was wrapping my mind around the sunken cost fallacy because it's serious and it's real. But before we wrap things up, here are a couple of other quick tips to help create balance in your life. Listen to music, especially instrumental music. Soundtracks like the Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings soundtracks are great for this, to help you block out distractions and stay focused while working. Like we talked about a couple of slides ago, while it may be impossible to unplug while working, get rid of the notifications. Turn off pop-up notifications on your tablet or laptop and use screen time limits or do not disturb to your advantage. Set boundaries. Learn to say no to extraneous tasks when you simply don't have the time. You really don't need a better reason than that. Also, if you currently work a job that is fully remote or self-directed, make sure to plan for at least a half hour or 15 minutes to wrap up so that you send the last set of emails or or close everything down. Don't work until the last minute or only go over by 15 minutes every day in order to wrap things up. Treat your work time as time for laser focus. This means no distractions. You'll be surprised by how much you can get done if you hold yourself to this. Lastly, find people to hold yourself accountable. Speaking of which, Success Services is here to help you set those goals, make a plan for success, and then support you in sticking to those goals and the work that gets you there. You can reach out to the email on the slide or set up an appointment on Starfish with Jordan or Lucy today.
Today we talked through strategies on how to build a schedule and prioritize your tasks in order to create more balance between school, work, and personal time. As we finish up, bear with us for one more activity. Go ahead and stand up if you're able, nice and tall, firmly on both feet. I know this is tough with headphones, but we'll do our best. Okay, take a deep breath. Make sure feet are firm on the ground. Now, without lifting your right foot off the ground, shift all your weight so that it's on your left foot. Great. Now shift all of your weight onto your right foot. Did you fall? Probably not. Remember, sometimes balance isn't evenly distributed. There will be weeks where schoolwork takes over every bit of your time, or where your personal life has to take precedent, and that's okay, because in the end, you'll still be standing. As we shared in the beginning, balancing is tough, especially right now when a lot of life is constantly shifting and changing surrounding the pandemic. Give yourself grace and allow yourself to continue to work on how to find balance.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll continue providing content that both supports your transition into an e-learning environment, as well as resources that work to help you develop different skills to address roadblocks on your pathway to success. Please be sure to take a look at the library of past presentations on our website to learn more about the different resources and skill sets that you can apply to many areas of your life and within and beyond the classroom. Until next time, take care.